Hello, listeners of the Art Versations podcast. Greetings! My name is Bri, like the cheese, and I'm your host for the next hour. This is Art Versations, a meditative conversation about the artistic process. Thank you so much for tuning in, and welcome to new listeners if this is your first time. Wonderful to have you as a part of this community. Last week's episode was so well received. I'm feeling so grateful for all those who tuned into the season opener. And I just want to announce that there is a new YouTube channel for the podcast, its own separate YouTube channel, where you can find past episodes as well as highlight clips of new episodes coming out every Friday. Don't forget to do all the doozy things like subscribing and liking and following and reviewing, because it really helps the podcast continue to grow. The more people involved, the more we get to share our love of art with each other. It's a win-win, baby. Okay, let's get to this week's guest. She is Hannah Summers.
Woo, yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Yeah. Woo.
Thank you, live studio audience. I knew Hannah, firstly, as a photographer, but as you will come to see, she uses multiple mediums to inform her practice. Clay, embroidery, lots of different involved mediums in her work. So she and I have been friends and collaborators since we first met in first year of university, and now she has her very own exhibition. Wow! You can catch I Found a Place showing at the Alliance Française Galerie in Toronto until September 16th. Go and see it. It is a wonderful exhibition. What a fun episode this was, honestly. We had lots of laughs, so please settle in and join us for the fun. Here is episode 2 of season 4.
Clay is life, basically. And I just find
Clay
that so...
is love, clay is life.
Clay is love, clay is life.
If there's anything to take away from this.
Yeah, clay is the essence of everything. We would not be here without clay. Like basically pressing face with the old man next to you, and you're like, I'm so sorry, can I hold your cane for you? Like, how may I assist?
Hi.
Hello.
Can I assist with your cane? I'm so glad you're with me right now. I'm really, really excited that we're doing this on your deck.
On my deck. And honestly, it's been like such a long time. Like, I feel like you asked me to do this like a year ago, and I was like, oh yeah, totally. My brain's just not working right now.
Well, and like things changed, you know?
Yeah.
Like things took a hard left turn last year.
It's just been like a ridiculous year. And then it was like, hey, 2021, let's be awful too.
Literally, it's like still going for some reason.
No, I don't know why we all had this like imagination in our head that like as soon as the new year hit, like things would turn around. And it was like, just kidding, it's gonna get worse.
It's gonna get even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have vaccines and stuff, but like I still feel like the arts community hasn't like actually come back.
Oh yeah,
to its full
it's
strength.
So fucking hard to be an artist right now. Like,
literally,
it's honestly just like, yeah.
How do you stay inspired? Because like there are days where I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? I need to be getting a finance job or like becoming a doctor.
I know, like honestly, like I don't know, it would have been like a month or 2 months ago. I was like, maybe I'll just like go back and do landscape architecture. Like, I don't know. I was just like thinking about it because, you know, I got really into plants and I was just kind of feeling down, and I was like, the arts is just failing me because I'm sitting here applying for job after job after job and like hearing back nothing because everyone's looking for a job right now.
Right.
And I'm like recent grad, so I'm not like out of the like high on the list, and I don't have tons of experience. So I was just like, oh, maybe I'll just go and do this. But honestly, like, it was more because, like, my practice being photography is, like, you know, I like to say it's a bit more fluid. So I'm kind of transitioning more of my title to just, like, a multimedia artist instead of just, like, lens-based artist or whatever.
That's dope.
But yeah, I think because as like what you're asking is like how am I staying motivated and like keeping it going? Yeah,
getting out of bed.
Like it was like not doing photography because I don't know, it might have just been like transitioning out of like my program and having to like be shooting all the time and like meeting deadlines. It was just like exhausting when I finally finished and like the pandemic hit and I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? Like I can't pick up the camera right now.
Right.
And so it was honestly just like finding other things to work with my hands. So like I think the first thing I started doing was embroidery. I started like embroidering stuff.
Wow.
So I got really into that like
So different.
beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was just like online looking at like different ways how do I can incorporate this into photography, but I feel like my mind just like went off on this like crazy like how many different hobbies can I have all at once. Then I got like really into clay, and so I started buying all this stuff for like clay, and I like got clay for like Christmas or whatever, and my brother bought it for me, and I'm just like, I just got a bag of dirt for Christmas. Like what am I, like it's a bag of mud, like what am I doing?
it turns into something eventually.
But I'm like,
Especially if you get the brown one too.
Yeah.
It looks totally like
I did.
shit.
It's like terracotta, and I'm like, this is just. I asked for a bag of mud for Christmas. Oh well. And but yeah, also the only thing with clay is like you need like access to a kiln, and that's like super expensive. So I'm like trying to find other clay types that can like be fired in other ways or not fired or whatever. But yeah, so I started doing that, and then mostly over winter break, I got like, or break, I don't even know if that's considered a break from what? Winter.
We're not in school anymore.
Yeah, it's like mostly over winter.
The time when everyone like goes away and goes to their
the
family.
hibernation time.
Yeah, totally.
I started picking up like a lot of different, I don't know, things. Like I started weaving.
Wow.
Yeah, I built a loom. It's so weird. Like
I did see that. It's like a big, tall thing.
It's in my house.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I started
So different.
weaving, and one of my friends, she also was weaving, so we're kind of like weaving together, and so now we've been talking about like potentially doing like a project together or whatever, and like something collaborative with like a giant mass weaving thing, and I don't know, but like yeah, so I started doing these like things with my hands, way to keep like still artistic, still like creating, but I just like couldn't turn to the camera for some reason.
Was it because like you said that there was so much to do during school? There was so much focused work on like getting out content that was all photography based.
Yeah.
That it was like, I'm gonna just take a step back for a second.
I think so, and I think that was a big part of it. I also think that like the pandemic had a lot to do with it too, because it was just so, there was so much, and there's also, you feel this almost pressure. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I like feel this pressure as an artist to like document this time and like through photography, and I saw other people doing it, and I was just like, this isn't for me. This isn't what I want to be doing. This isn't how I'm going to get through this.
Yeah, that's so real.
Yeah, so I'm like, I was like, I'm going to get through this in a different way, and so, you know.
Yeah, because you like, there's not a necessity to like make this an artistic thing. People are dying. There is disease everywhere, and we're all shut inside.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that at all like beautiful? You know, like,
I know.
I was the same way. I was like, oh, am I gonna make another solo movement piece about being in a pandemic? Like, there has to be more art to make than just that.
Yeah, yeah,
I totally get that.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not hating on the people who made COVID art, because way to go.
Some of it is really great.
It's really, it's good.
Like bows inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, it just wasn't my way of getting through that, and it wasn't my way of expressing myself creatively, which I realized I do need to do often, because it's just like part of, I don't know, part of me, part of how I work, part of how I think and process things. So it was turning to these, which was strange, because it was turning to these things I didn't even realize that were more like hands-on, like I don't know, like really working with your hands, like craft, like detail oriented.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
Yeah,
like clay, you're like molding things with your hands, and like
to get in there.
Yeah. You really gotta dig.
You're not just clicking buttons anymore on the camera. Yeah.
Not just adjusting settings and clicking buttons and adjusting lights. No, you're like sticking your hands into the object. Yeah. Same thing with like embroidery though too. Like you're in there, you're like designating the needle and weaving as well. You're like getting in there. So I don't know. It was just like something that I turned to. And I guess when I was at home as well, it was just like I built a table with my dad too. Like it was so just like random. I mean, honestly, he did most of the work. Like I was like, here are my plans. And he was like, all right. And then he would just like do things. And I'd be like, oh, wow, that's really nice. What a nice beveled edge. Like, I don't know.
What the hell does that mean?
I think it's when the edge is like curved, like, you know, when you sand it. I could be wrong.
A little bit more rounded.
I was like, if I say this word, is this
Beveled.
right? I feel like beveled. And then all the woodworkers out there, I was like, who are you? Who are you to know what beveled means? I don't know.
Where did that go from? Beveled in dance is like a side curve of the foot.
Oh.
So I feel like it's the same
A curve
thing.
is like a
some
beveled
kind
edge
of
the...
little rotation or like an arc of some kind.
Yeah. I don't know, but like, how are you making your way through this whole time of
doing that
weirdness?
I honestly, similar to you, I like stepped away from dance for a while, and like I didn't take class during the first couple months of the pandemic. Panini thing.
Panini.
I try not to say the word as much as I can. I was like, I'm not gonna take like any online classes. Like I just don't believe in like film. Like I hate being online. I'm such a like in-person person. Right. And similar for like when I take class, like I'd rather be around other dancers than like stuck in my home.
Oh yeah, totally. And dance is such a like collaborative, I mean, unless you're doing like solo things, like it's very collaborative. It's very about the environment.
Oh my gosh.
People you're with.
I'm not interested in like working on myself a lot of the times. Like I do have to like muster up a lot of motivation to like actually train by myself. I find that I'm fueled by a lot of other people.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, for the first few months I was like, I hate this. I'm alone. Why can't I just like be in a studio again? And then I started teaching in person a little bit more. I was doing like a camp. Which was really cute and fun.
Right, because things got, like, what, in the summer? Like, they got a bit better.
Yeah, I was able to teach in person for, like, 6 kids.
Okay,
Which isn't, like, a big group, right? So we were able to make it work. But then we went back into lockdown.
Yeah, the winter was hard.
Which was so hard. Yeah, it was
a
so
long winter.
depressing. Yeah. And then I completely stopped. Like, I moved out west, or, like, to the west of Toronto.
Right.
And I just, like, started babysitting and, like, barely took dance class, barely even danced. And now I'm back downtown and I'm feeling like there could be
something
time for movement again.
Right.
Yeah. And what I've learned from stepping away, I actually feel more informed in my practice now.
No, I totally get that.
I don't take it for granted.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. Like, I just, like, maybe a couple weeks ago, I like, I've been taking my camera and, like, I started shooting. Because I've been thinking about this sort of new project, which is, like, convenient and was sort of how I got into, like, working with clay and, like, pottery and that stuff. Was I was kind of, like, started researching, like, the history of clay and, like, history of clay and its work in art and history, all that. I was just doing a bunch of research, thinking about this new project I wanted to talk about. It's still in its very early stages. I don't really know, but sometimes like when I sit and I research too much, I need to like do like actually create
get
something.
It out. Yeah, no, tell me all about the process, because if it's in its like literal fetus stages, like I love to hear about it.
I mean, so in school, like, I felt like we didn't always get to focus as much on the research part of it that I, like, wanted to, which was why I, like, have spent so much time kind of focusing on that for this, but then I feel like it kind of gets away from me, and I'm like, oh, you know, if everything is research, then I'm always researching, but then I'm like, you get caught up in other things, and if you're not, like, setting deadlines for yourself, it gets a little, I don't know, weird.
I totally get that.
But I guess for my process, one of the biggest things that I do is I tend to get stumped in, like, photography, like the still image, for some reason. And in all my past projects, it's been, like, video that brings me out of that. So in most of my, like, finished bodies of work, I have this like video element that is accompanying it, because
Cool.
it's like that stepping stone that helps me get through it. So like I figure out the video, and then it's like the photos just come after.
The movement.
Yeah.
And then you find the still image.
Exactly.
That's so
Yeah,
dope.
yeah, exactly. And I think part of that is because like I don't even know, like I like for some of it I'm like I have to say it and you have to hear it. But then I guess even with my like my I Found a Fit Place project, it like the words didn't come till much later. But I don't know, it's just kind of like talking about it and working through, because when you take a photo, I don't know, you're sitting there and it's still, and then the photo's done and then whatever. But I feel like with video, especially because I work in film a lot of the time, I don't get to see the photos till like a little while after.
Right.
But with video, it's obviously like, it's instant, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, that's not working, so I'm going to try this. And I'm, you know what I mean? So I'm like working through these kind of, processes, and I feel like, I don't know, that's kind of, it just helps me through figuring out ideas, I guess.
It's like the only way to do it is to just go through it.
Yeah, exactly.
And like trial and error that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, like for me, like getting back to photography was, again, it started actually, now that I'm sitting here talking about it, actually started again with video. And I just like,
wow.
I was in my old apartment, and I was getting close to like having to move, and I was like, I just kind of, I took my roommate's camera because, like, I only have a film camera right now. So I, like, took her camera and I, like, set it up for a video. And I just, like, literally, like, stood in front of a wall.
Okay.
And I just stared into the camera. And I basically was just, like, having, like, a staring contest. And it was a video. I just, like, pressed record. And I was just, like, staring into the camera, and like my mind would drift off, and then I'd kind of forget that the camera was on, and then I'd look out the window, and it didn't mean anything, but it was almost like a reacquainting myself with the camera again.
Yeah,
which
like
was
an exposure therapy.
And it was totally
something.
like, and it was video that did that. It wasn't like a photo.
Wow.
And then from there, I've been like, a friend of mine, we like got together and we did a little bit of a shoot, and I was kind of, I had clay involved, and so I have a couple like newer images for that, and I have no idea if they're working or if they're like whatever, or what they even mean, but I was just like, I have this space right now, like I just need to get and shoot, and I just felt inspired, so I was like, okay, I'm like slowly making my way back with the camera again, and like...
Would you have made... Because I know you said that you were working with clay before, like it was kind of a concept, but like would you have made the jump to actually shoot clay without the pandemic,
Oh, without the pandemic.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's...
Would that have happened, do you think?
I don't know,
without
it's very...
the removal.
It's odd, because I can't remember which came first. Like, I don't remember if the idea about clay came first, and then I started researching, and then I was like, I might as well start doing like pottery, or if it was like, I feel like that was more of the order of it, so it kind of like broke the system there.
Gotcha.
But like, I don't know, I think the embroidery definitely came first.
Okay.
That came first.
Cool.
First.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go through my notes, because I like have like notebooks
that's
and notebooks
okay.
of things, and I just, when I have an idea, I write them down. So I'd have to see when that idea, or why, because I can't even remember at this time, like, because this clay thing that I've been doing again, like, I'm so vague about this right now, just because I'm not like ready to get into it yet.
Yeah,
it's so
like
early.
a wind of idea.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
Well, the starting
fragrance.
point was so different, and now I feel like it's progressed into something else. So it's hard, and now I'm starting to forget what the actual starting point was. But I think initially I wanted, because I tend to work a lot with like my family.
Yes.
So like,
with your mom. And
I've worked with my mom
and
and and her sister. Yeah, my aunt.
Yes.
And I really like doing collaborative work, and I think initially like I was really into documentary because of that, because I liked working with people. But then I found like I like to have a bit more control over the story, and documentary can be like problematic. Like, there's so much controversy about it, like whether or not you're passing boundaries, you're intruding on other people's stories,
especially if they're alive, and still not a part of the project.
Exactly. So I started kind of looking in on myself and being like, you know, other people have stories to tell. I feel like they, you know, maybe they don't have the means to tell their stories. Maybe somebody else, it's their place to tell their story, but I can tell my story. So, you know, I start talking, you know, doing projects about myself. And so, like, I found a place was, like, my, like, kind of base. And then I kind of went back and said, well, this is what I'm, you know, have caused me to, like, think about these things about, like, race and ethnicity and whatever. And I was like, well, my mom and my aunt are, like, the root of that.
Wow, that's so cool. Like
So-
a Russian doll.
Yeah, so I, like, turned
yeah.
around and started doing a project about them. So I think the clay one came from me wanting to do a project about me and my sister. And I don't know if that's what it is anymore, because it's just, like, like, COVID being a thing and, like, the distance, it's, like, hard to, like, get together and shoot and do these things. And I think that's what was stopping me too, was the fact that I couldn't actually shoot with her. So I just decided to just shoot myself and see what happens, which I tend to do.
A lot of people are doing that, right? If
Yeah.
you can't meet up with someone, if they're in a completely other place, then it would be.
Exactly. Yeah, because so my sister, she's into, like, geography, geology, and right now she's doing her master's and studying permafrost and doing cool stuff. Oh, I don't know.
Cool. That's
Good
not
job.
me. I don't know
Not
anything
my
about
vibe.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, so for her, like, clay, you know, comes from the earth, and so that also means something for her. And
Oh yeah. Wow.
and I think initially, like, these ideas of, like, how we interacted, not just with, like, clay, it's in everything. Like, I mean, it's our mugs, it's our toilets, like, it's porcelain, you know, it's these things that we use every day. Like, clay is life, basically. And I just find
Clay
that so
is love, clay is life.
Clay is love, clay is life.
If there's anything to take away from this.
Yeah, clay is the essence of everything. We would not be here without clay. But there's, like, so much mythology and stuff involved in it, and I just found it so interesting. And then I started thinking about, like, us when we were kids and how we used to interact with clay as a kid, and, like, how we'd, like, cover our bodies in clay, or, like, you know, put it on your feet to, like, make little, like, clay, and you know, it'd dry and make clay shoes, and I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, you just,
Totally.
like, play in clay.
Right.
That
Yes.
rhymes, sort of.
Yes. Play in clay. Totally. It's like, it's so, like, squishy, and it, like, kind of reminds me
Malleable.
of... Yeah, like, you can make, like, sand castles with it,
Yeah.
or, like, you know...
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So that was my, I don't know, that's
so it
where
comes
it all...
back to your family.
It
again.
always comes back to my family. Yeah.
No, I think that's really cool, and, like, I do want to talk about I Found a Place, your exhibition right now at
Yeah,
the
for sure.
Alliance Française Galerie.
Yep.
I think I said that okay.
Yes, you did.
Because it's on until September 16th,
Yeah.
which is such a long time, and I hope people who are listening to this will go and check it out. I definitely want to
Yeah.
soon. And so you have these, I think it's like 5 images. How many stills do you have?
5 images. Yeah, the series is 5 images, and then there's a video piece.
Oh, okay.
And then, you know, I speak in the video piece, and I'm still kind of working on this, like, handout that I want to have
Sweet.
in the gallery so people can actually, like, read it and listen at the same time, because I think they both have different impacts when you hear and you see it.
Totally, yes.
But yeah, that's up there, and, you know, it's been a long time coming. It was, like, supposed to happen.
Is this the show that was postponed from January?
It's the show that was postponed from last May.
Get out of here. From like your
so
last semester.
It was supposed to, so it's part of the Scotiabank Contact
Right.
Photography Festival. And so it was supposed to be, like, Contact usually opens up in May. I think it's, like, May 1st, actually. And just, like, lasts all of May. Well, like... That was, like, pretty much right around when COVID...
Literally.
Yeah, so nothing was happening. So, you know, it just kept getting postponed. And then, so, you know, we were supposed to open in January, but everything was so bad in the winter, like, it was not going to happen. So here we are in July
Finally.
of 2021.
A year and a half later.
Yeah, and the exhibition is finally up, so...
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
And it was curated with Benjamin Friedman, is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
a friend of yours, or...?
I mean, we met through
the
it.
thing. Okay.
I don't know if I can consider us friends, but we're...
Colleagues.
Yeah, like, we talk, like, now. Like, when we see each other.
I only asked just maybe because
we make good conversation when we meet.
I'm not asking you to like define the relationship at this point. It's all good. I was just curious if he had like any like was he part of the process to help you?
Yeah. He was like, well, I mean, I think he was initially the one who selected the works, and so it was 2 students that were picked from Ryerson to do it, which was me and then my friend Lucy Alguire, who's also has her exhibition up in the same gallery, and so we each got our own like little solo show, and so he like selected us out of like our classes and like curated the projects that we submitted to him and was like, what do you think of this? And we were like, this looks great. Or we'd be like, move that. But honestly, when he gave me it, I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. Because I was like, I mean, his idea was like, I'm life-size.
Yeah,
like,
I was
it's a full vinyl. Like, it's the most expensive sticker you'll ever have and like ever buy. That's like,
well, because when I saw your Tracing Ethnicity gallery, like those prints were a lot smaller.
Oh yeah. Those were little.
Like,
that was like
more.
my own curation. I was like artist curator for that whole thing. Like I did it all.
So he decided to like magnify them.
He like made them so big, and I was like, wow, that's such a cool idea. Like I don't know, I never imagined it like this. And well, that's what's so nice about collaborating with other people is, you know, they see it a different way, and you're like, oh wow, like I like the way you're seeing that. So yeah, it's cool that it's like massive, and I can stand next to it and be like, that's me.
That's me.
It's
Except
so
I'm not
funny,
looking at the
though.
camera.
Yeah, like it's so funny because when they like put it up, like installed the vinyl.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, is that you?" I'm like, "Do I not look like me?"
I guess it's like not easy to totally tell, right?
Yeah,
Which is the point.
Well, I mean, that's the point. Exactly. I was so pleased. I was like, "How is that not obvious as me?" And then I was like, "Ah, this is great. Like, this is not what I like wanted. Like, this is like I mean, it's me, and I'm claiming it's me, but like." The reason I'm like not showing my face because it's not important. It's not what the work is about. Like I want people to identify with it and it not to be about like this face that represents biracial whatever, right? It's like I don't know. It's more like I want it to be more obscure, a little bit more like open,
anonymous
for interpretation. I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good series. I'm kind of exhausted with it actually.
Really, get out.
Like it's just been such a long time that I'm just like okay, this series.
But I mean, I want to ask you like a couple more questions about it because I
go for it.
I do think there is something to that, like not being totally explicit about like what you look like or your identity or heritage. Like I think we've had discussions too about how you like are still researching who and where and how you came to be.
It's a lifetime like exploration.
Absolutely.
Because it changes every day, and it doesn't. I don't know, like the world is so complicated, and like even like last summer when like the Black Lives Matter movement like really kicked off and like got really popular. I mean, it's been around for forever, but like it really, was hitting the social media track.
Right. Yes.
It was
As
like it changes, like even like talking with my mom and my aunt who have like a perspective on like their like Black identity and just like how they realized like there were so many things that they just kind of like shrugged off, accepted, like didn't even like was just like, oh, it's such as life. That this is just how it is. Wow. And then they like, reading everyone's kind of stories on social media and like everyone's sharing resources and they're like hearing about other people that had like similar experiences to them that they didn't even realize were like, it's like, oh wow, like I can say that's not okay. Whereas like just the way they were brought up, it was just like, oh, we just accept what it is and be like happy with what we have, it could be so much worse kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't know. That's more of like my other project actually.
Okay,
actually,
yes.
But
the side by side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not claiming that title yet.
Got you.
It's on my website.
Redacted. I didn't say that.
No, it's okay.
I saw it on a magazine.
It's on my website too. It's fine. It's like open and out there. I'm just not satisfied with that title, and it will change.
Absolutely.
Again, that project is not finished. That one was my second semester thesis.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't like get to finish because of the pandemic.
Right.
But it is in a form in which it could be like in exhibition.
Great, cool.
it is developed enough where it can be out there, but I see, again, that as, like, a lifelong project. Like, I don't see that, like, having, like, an end because, like I said, like, simple things, but, like, things like the Black Lives Matter movement coming out, like, that changed the perspectives of my mom and my aunt. And so that changes, like, how we have those because that series is about us having those conversations. Look at me keep diverting from I Found a Place. I'm like, I don't want to talk
so tired of it, I can tell. We don't have to talk about it more.
No, we totally can. I'm totally, like, ready. I should be ready to answer more questions. This is good practice for when I, like, go and do my, like, gallery sittings or something and somebody comes up to me and, what's this project about? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
It's an old hat. You got a cigarette in your mouth. You're just like, I don't care anymore.
I don't give two shits.
No, but okay, but I think that's very powerful that you are, like, continually working on this project that I totally redacted the name on.
Thank you.
You know, because like you say, I mean, like, identity is evolving, the way we look at racism is evolving in hopefully a progressive way, and, like, I think for you to also, like, be so personal about it too, like, this is your family, these are people that you, like, have seen throughout the entire evolution of your life and seen go through certain perspectives and now change. I know. It's so cool to see that. And, like, I wonder too, you had mentioned there was, like, audio involved in it too. Like,
yeah, there is. Yeah, so there's a video involved in that series as well. Again, I was stuck with the photos. Totally stuck.
Another moment of being stuck. Interesting.
Totally stuck.
Wow.
And, like, literally, it was such a pattern. Like, one of my profs was just like, kind of just go to video. Like, go to video and you'll get the photos and it will come after. Like, wow. I know what you're, like, I know how
Having
you work
known
now.
you, like, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, sorry.
Just, like, go to video. And I was like, okay, yeah. Because, like, in my head, the video, like, made sense. Like, I had this idea and I was like, I don't know if it's even going to work. But, like, I had this idea. And so, I mean, I can explain a little bit about it. But, like,
please. Basically,
I was visiting, so my mom and my aunt, they live in, like, London, or my aunt lives in Ildersham, 10 minutes apart. They're very close together.
We just got a whole Google Maps in, like, 2 seconds.
Just be like, let me just pull up Google Maps and show you how close they live together. But, so I was going home to London, like, every weekend or every other weekend or whatever to, like, shoot and just, like, hang out with them and talk. And I honestly was just, like, showing up, and I was just, like, with my camera, and we'd sit and we'd drink, like, a full bottle of wine together, and we'd just, like, I don't know, talk, and, like, because the whole thing, like, my idea behind that whole project, I wanted to create this, like, visual conversation. I just had that, like, those words in my head, this visual conversation. I want to create this visual conversation. And I guess that's why initially I was, like, so, like, I'm not gonna, sorry, Bee attacking me.
Bee just wants to be a part of the podcast.
Yeah, it's my hair. It smells so good. Just kidding. That's when I need a shower. Don't say that right on the podcast. This girl needs a shower.
This is with Hannah Summers, and she needs a shower.
Yup. That's me. What was I saying?
You were talking about visual conversation.
Visual conversation, yeah. So, like, I think maybe that's why, because I was so focused on, like, this visual aspect, I was like, well, if I start with the video, then I'm not creating a visual conversation. I'm just creating a conversation, you know? But then I realized it was just, like, I had visual conversation in my head. Well, why start with the conversation? Like, and then the visuals will come.
Cool.
So we got together, and I brought out these, like, my mom had a couple, like, magazines of, like, usually, like, so the idea is that they, like, really leaned on these icons like Michael Jackson, like Whitney Houston when they were growing up, right? Because they were, like, these black figures that were, you know, making it in the world and were, like, positive, and I don't know, people, like, white people like them, basically.
I love them.
Yeah. So, you know, it was, like, bringing out, my mom had a bunch of, because they both had passed. So she had their kind of, like, remembrance editions or whatever they were.
Right.
And then we had a couple, like, National Geographic magazines with, like, you know, showing, like, African bodies and people, and just, like, National Geographic was problematic. I feel like they're better now, but I don't know.
Have they had controversy?
Like, definitely in the past, they, like, have had, like some of their, it's questionable. It's like that whole documentary thing is, like, are you showing these people in this place,
Right.
and is it your right to show these people in this place, and all this stuff. Yeah.
Invading.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so my uncle has this like massive collection of National Geographic magazines, so we like went through and just kind of like looked through some of them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was like just collaged with these. So like I, set up the camera and I just like videoed them collaging these items. And so, in the video the final product, I've like cut out the sound because honestly, like half the time my uncle's coming in and being like, try this pizza. And I'm like, bro, like, I love you, but like, we're filming something right now. Yeah, but I don't know. It's that whole experience and just like being with them and doing that, and I mean even my uncle rolling up with the pizza, like it's so much part of the project for me. Right. I mean, obviously, like that's my personal part of it, so I've like eliminated that, and then so later on I've recorded them. I just asked them questions and like we talked, and they gave me answers, and they're both really good storytellers. So they're sitting here telling me all these stories about growing up, and so like I've overlaid that over this video of them like working with the magazine clippings and whatever and turning it into some type of collage.
Amazing.
Yeah, so.
Love it.
Yeah. I don't know. I went on to sort of like a tangent, but I'm not really sure where I was going with that.
Well, you're having like different, again, it's the multimedia, like different kinds of perspectives, not just like a photo of something. Like,
yeah.
I think that's so much more layered, and like we really, as the audience, like we get to see the subject in such a vulnerable place because we get their sound and their action and their, all of that. Exactly. That's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely I would say it's my favorite project that I've done. Like, and I think it's just because I like love them so much and I love working with them, and it feels like the most. I don't think I was gonna say real, but I don't think real is the right word. It just feels the most. Maybe raw is the right word to me. Like, it just feels so honest. Not to say that my other projects aren't honest, but, they're very much in the studio. And for me, like, I bring things into the studio to make things make sense. And that's kind of that's what I did with I Found a Place is, like, it's very obvious in those images that I'm in the studio space because I have, like, the studio blocks and, like, all the, like, elements. Like, I wanted... Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's obvious I'm in this, like, fabricated space.
Totally. There's a set to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for me, that was, like... And I not to say that I'm never going back to the studio. It's just more of access to right now. It's
right,
like, it's expensive to
and we're not
get
in
studio
school anymore.
Space. Exactly.
Where
so
it would just be like right there.
And the lights, everything's expensive.
Of course.
Yeah. Everything costs money.
No one wants to pay for anything, so we'll just do it at home.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, the studio was the space, and even in my Tracing Ethnicity project, which you spoke about, like that was studio based as well, and just like photographing myself in the studio. But yeah, with I Found a Place, it was finding a place. It was literally finding a place for these objects, and that was through my practice, which was photography, and so I was finding a place for them within the studio, and that was their place for me. Because as much as they obviously had a place in my home, because I grew up with them, and these items and everything that I photographed myself with, it was kind of, my mindset about them changed. Because growing up, I thought they were these, like, cultural artifacts, these, like, items that represented, like, something that was, I don't know, real. Like, about my, like, not even just, like, my Trinidadian heritage, but just, like, Caribbean culture and whatever. Caribbean culture is such a vast word, because it's, like, there's so many different cultures in the Caribbean. But, like,
I see.
Yeah. Like, it's just... Like, as a kid, that's what you think, though. You think it's, like, one thing. Like, totally. Yeah, and then, obviously, as an adult, like, realizing it's like, oh, this has, like, made in Indonesia written on the bottom. You know what I mean? Just, like, these things that you realize that you don't, like... They don't mean what you thought they meant. And so, for me, it was, like, taking them out of, my home. Like, my childhood home with my parents. And, like... bringing them into this new space, and that's how I reconcile with things, is through, like, the camera. And so I was reconciling my understanding and of these objects through in the studio space. And so, you know, if you like look at the images, it's like I'm in these very awkward positions, like I'm like holding them in very
like contorting your
yeah,
body.
like,
I'm like
not ways
to do
where
those moves.
someone would normally feel comfortable sitting in that
Nope,
position.
yeah.
And it's just like a representation of like how I feel about these objects now, because it's like, you know, some of them are like racist and some of them are like
appropriation.
yeah, exactly. And they're just, you know, little tourist items. And, you know, some of them are like ones from like that they got, like my mom got when she was like a kid or whatever. And like some of them are like because she got married in Jamaica. So like when they would go to Jamaica and like go on vacation, you know, those are things that they would pick up there. But again, they're just like tourist items that like anyone would pick up. But again, that's a whole different thing for her. Is like for her it felt like, even though it's Jamaica, it's like, oh, this is like Caribbean, like this is like part of my heritage, you know, this is like where I come from.
Right.
But again, she's coming from the standpoint of, you know, being born in Canada and like raised within like not like her, you know, was adopted, so she was like raised by like a white family, so she doesn't have like the heritage connection. Yeah.
Wow.
So like it's very like it's very different for her, and she's also doing the same thing I'm doing. So like that's why I go back in my quote unquote side by side series. So
quote unquote.
Yeah, I don't even know if I used that right.
I'm just gonna put like in brackets like redacted,
like side by side series. Yeah, that's why I turned to that. After I found a place. I was like, all right, the reason why I'm struggling with all this is because she was struggling with all that too. You know, she's picking up these items when she's like on vacation and being like, you know, this feels like I feel connected to this, or you know what I mean?
It goes down the line, yeah.
But you know, it's still also fake. It's like these items are also fake as well. So it's just
is it like a desire to hold on to anything that could represent like an ancestor or, you know, a past culture?
Yeah.
Even if it has to be, even if it is, which it usually is, like totally fake, false, you know, made with plastic.
Yeah.
You know, like there is still that desire, I guess, to make these objects feel like something tangible. I don't know.
I think so. And I mean some of them are like real things.
Right.
Like real items that
like handmade.
Like she got or like was given to her.
Okay.
But like a lot of them are these like, you know, anyone else can go pick them up when they're on vacation, you know what I mean? So it's like just kind of, I don't know, it's a strange reconciliation. That's all I can say. Like it's so like how do you connect with these things that are, you know, not what you think they are, but also still trying to connect with something that you don't have a full like connection to, but you know it's in your blood, you know what I mean? And you feel drawn to these things because you know that's part of your heritage, but like you don't know how to, 'cause there's no one to tell you. I mean, it's like the other series, like they were looking to like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, which were like, I mean, relatively like, I would say like not whitewashed like artists, but like they were like pushed to be more pushed to be a certain way so that you know they could be like liked by a white audience or whatever.
Unfortunately,
like, they couldn't be their full selves. But like, you know, it's interesting what we turn to like, I don't know, define ourselves or even like for like my mom and my aunt, like they were raised in a white family. Everyone in their family was white, and they lived in Sarnia, Ontario, and again, a very white town, like very small, very white. Like they were like in their heads, they were like one of the only 2 black people in like the city. Like it felt like. So like, and
twins or like close in age, right?
Yeah, they're twins. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like for them, that was like such a, like here I am speaking for them, but like,
I wish they could be here with us, but
yeah, I'm sure they're so shy. Like they would just be like, no, we can't share this.
They already did their work. They already did the visual conversation.
Yeah, I know. I was like, just so you guys know, in like 2 years from now, my work will be up for exhibition or something. And they're like, 2 years? That's not enough time. I'm not ready for us like to get out there.
Aww.
Like, come on, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, it's always like, you know, being like, that's another thing with collaborative work is like always making sure like the person you're working with is comfortable and like you're not passing any boundaries and like everything you're doing they're comfortable with. And there's times where I was like, oh, let's do this, and they're like, no, like
not up for it.
Yeah. And
That's
so I'm
fair,
like,
I
yeah,
guess.
you know, that's how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I lost my initial thread of what I was saying, but yeah, it's
all of these, you know, these personal questions that
Right.
might not
oh,
come
that
up.
they couldn't answer them themselves. Yeah,
Right,
but
right.
like, yeah, growing up, it's in that space. It's, you know, you don't have anyone else to turn to but the person, you know, your sister next to you. That's the only person who looks like you. And this kind of is rolled out. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, more clearly in like the video that I make, so you can like
Okay.
hear them talking about their experiences together. But it's really interesting because, again, like their conversations are very much like, oh, you know, like it was fine, like we growing up was easy, like it was
Really?
like no big deal. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, except for, you know, like when this happened, and you're like, no, that's not good. Like, and they're like, I don't think we experienced any racism. And then they're like, yeah, but then remember that one time? And, you know, they're like telling these
Wow.
stories,
It's
but they're
coming up,
still
yeah.
like, and at the same time they're still like saying, oh yeah, but it was fine. Oh, but it was still good. But it was still like,
I bet.
you know. And then but I'm like, but you just told me that like you like stopped riding the bus because people would stare at you.
Oh my
like
gosh.
like what, like that's not like no one else
That's-
was dealing with that
Yeah.
in your neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
For them to sort of like live through that, like that's
Yeah.
so strong. That's so powerful. I'm glad they had each other.
I know,
But
like
at the
that's so
same
crazy.
time,
Like,
like,
they always
yeah.
talk about like how important they feel like getting adopted together was, like, because they could have been adopted separately, or they could have
Totally.
been like not adopted or whatever. Like they just feel like how lucky they were to be adopted together because they got. Well, I mean, they're still together now. Like they live 10 minutes apart.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, they're very close.
We do know exactly where they live.
Yeah.
So
They live 10 minutes apart. One lives in one city and another one lives in another, but they're 10 minutes apart.
basically London. We can Google Maps it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, like what a strong duo, and to have that be your subject. Like, I know
Yeah.
obviously it's your mom and your aunt, but like that is a story that like I think needs to be told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. And I push them because I'm like, my mom's a writer as well. So she's
Okay.
like, writes, like, I mean, she's
She's a
been writing the
storyteller
same
herself.
book. Yeah, she's been like writing for like years. And I'm like, you should be telling your story. I'm like, here I am telling my story in my, like, your story in my way because it's connected to my story. But, like,
Yeah.
you should tell your, like, people would be interested in this. Like, this is a really cool story. Like, you should tell your story. But, like, I'll keep working on them.
Maybe she's still wrestling with
I
it.
think it's, yeah. And, like, I would say that they're, like, quite private people. Like,
Oh.
they
Yes.
probably don't want to sit there and, like, exploit their entire lives.
My mother's like that too.
Yeah, so that, like, for them, it's like, oh, you know, it's fine. Just, like, keep it to ourselves. No big deal. But, like, I don't know. I'm just like, like, tell
You're
the
digging
story.
it out of them. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
tell the story.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
What a perspective.
yeah. So, that's me. That's my work. That's fun.
The many things that you're working on. You know, you talk about not working on anything, but I feel like,
Well, this is past stuff that I'm like, this is pre-pandemic stuff that I was doing.
but it's finally coming out.
Yeah,
like we get to see
it's
it.
finally getting seen by the people, and hopefully the series with my mom and my aunt will be seen soon. I'm supposed to have like an exhibition at like I don't know, like X University Image Center. I don't even know what to
Yes.
name that.
I wanted to ask about your opinion on that.
Oh
and, like,
God.
we don't have to get super into it, but because
Um,
I did see that you like on your bio you put X University.
Yeah, I switched it. Yeah.
I see. For me, it's like an X. Like that seems
Oh,
like
I don't like
real.
I don't like our new name. I don't think
Yeah.
that's a permanent name. But
yeah.
I can't. I feel uncomfortable. In a like I just to use the
The old
original
name.
name.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
feels like I
all
don't
the
know. It
time.
feels wrong. It feels a bit disrespectful.
Absolutely.
I just. But then it's like so hard because everyone else has like a different everyone has a different opinion on it. So
Mhm.
like
Yes.
for me, I feel like, you know, I can only do what I can do. I don't.
And it's like, well, if I don't say, Rye, then it's like, no one knows what I'm talking about. No one knows, like, what University X is.
Yeah.
Because it's X. It's, like, a variable.
I know. It's like, I think
we're stuck
most
in this
people
blurry
in the
period.
arts understand what it's become just because we have, like, the Image Center there.
Of course, yeah.
So when I say it, they do know what I'm talking about, but maybe that's because my bubble is all from there.
Yes.
That could be it. Everyone knows what I'm talking about because they've been watching it on their Instagram.
Right, yeah. We all kind of, like, some people have definitely, like, dissolved into that and have really taken on that name, especially after the statue fell and, like, things need to be changing. I wonder if... I actually just put my name on the petition to get the name changed.
Right.
Because, like, that needs to happen now. Like,
everything has been so... dragged out. I think that's the right
exactly.
word to say it. It's
We're
just
waiting.
It's been years.
We're waiting for
it's been
change.
Years. Like,
yeah.
And I think there's been discussion about, like, people being upset that the statue was, like, pulled down on its own, like, not by the school or whatever. And I think that, like, it's just, like, action, like, they took an action because the action hasn't been taken. And I think that, if that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. Because, I mean, it was being, like, defaced like, all the time. Like, it wasn't, like, nice to look at. Not that I totally understand the defacing, but, like, it's just, like, the constant reminder. And if it's going to continue to be defaced all the time, like, why have that be a part of, like, the school's representation of, like, a representation of the school? Like,
I totally agree.
Because no one's going to stop defacing it, and they have every right to go and deface this statue because it's awful.
Yes.
But, like, so, like, if, they jumped the gun, took it down, oh well. That's how it is.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm putting strong opinions out there that I'm like, oh, God, people are going to come at me.
I mean, we have to talk about it. Like, there's no other way to do it except, this is the opinion you feel right now. It could change later. Same for me.
I mean, and I feel so, like, distanced from, like, because obviously, like, I'm not an Indigenous person. Like, that's not, this isn't my, like, this is my territory to talk about, really. Like, I just want to support the community as best as possible. And to me, like, this, I don't know, not using the name makes sense to me. But I'd like to hear more from that community about it. And I think that hopefully with the pandemic, like, breaking a little bit, I'll be able to, like, I don't know, have more discussion about it. Because I feel like that's, like, there's so much you can do on social media, but, like, it's good to, like, actually be within the community and talk to people again. It's, like, and feel that passion behind everyone's voices and understand, like, the, I don't know, everything behind it.
That's why people showed up to the protests or to the statue during, lockdown or whatever. Like, because it, like, there needs to be an in-person.
And that's why people were, like, marching in last summer. Like,
exactly.
Okay, we're in a pandemic, but, like,
this isn't going to change until people show up.
Other people are also dying.
Yes.
Like, from other things that aren't a pandemic disease, whatever. I don't know if that's the right virus. Disease.
There it is.
No, like, what is this? This is not a disease.
I think you're totally right. I think there's so much talk. There's so much talk going on about we're going to change this. We're going to make this better. We're going to, we're going to look into all of the graves and make sure they're actually, like, marked everything. But it's like, when do they actually do that?
When is the action happening?
Yeah. Because I don't want to hear about another story coming up from another, reservation. Like, I was already so shocked by the first 215 children.
Yep.
And then to hear it again and again. Like, it's like, there really is a
honestly,
pattern.
at this point, I'm like, it's not like I'm going to be surprised.
Right, and that is not
so upsetting.
That should not be the sentiment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's at this point, it's like I'm nothing surprises me anymore. Just because that's life. That's the reality of it. This is what happens, and this is what history does to minorities. It's keeps happening, and I don't know, but, like,
We've gone a little political.
Yeah, we went super political.
I apologize. That's
okay. I'm like,
still,
I don't know if I have full thoughts about this yet. Like,
neither do I.
Like, and that's also something. Like, my mind is always being, like, not, like, completely changed, but, like, my mind is being, like, I like to hear other people's opinions,
Same.
hear other people talk, hear people from those communities talking, because, you know, those are the, you know, the voices that are influencing the way that I think about things. I'm so sorry.
Someone's telling us to stop.
Yep, it's my mom. It's so funny. I can't. She's gonna come. All right. How do I end it? I gotta. Yeah.
You answered it and then hung up on her. Oh no.
I'll text her and be like, hey,
Okay.
I'm just in a podcast.
Tell her we're thinking of her and we wish she was here to give her a story, her incredible story with her sister too.
Yeah. Talking about you. My bad. I'm like, why is my phone ringing? And also, why is the sound coming up? But it's connected to the speaker because we were listening to music before this.
Yes, we were listening
I was
to
like,
Michael
my
Jackson.
phone is always on silent. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone a little political here. This is not what I wanted, but I feel like
My
as
apologies.
artists, we
It's
have
politics,
to talk about
politics.
it. It's literally everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Before
honestly.
we end, though, I
Yeah.
do want to just give you a second to plug anything that you're working on, anything that we've talked about today.
Oh. I know what that means. Yep.
It means...
I was like, shoot, I don't know what that means. And I was like, wait, I know what that means.
Yeah? Okay. I like
so
to call
out
it a
of
shameless plug. So we're just going to take the plug out and you just talk as shamelessly as you'd like to about
Like,
whatever.
shamelessly talk about, wait, maybe I don't know what plug means.
Maybe I'm explaining it weird. Like, you know, it's like, I'm going to plug something without feeling guilt about
Oh, you mean like
plugging
share,
it.
like
Yes.
hype myself up?
Yes, go for it.
Fun. Okay, well, hyping myself up.
I totally did not set that up well.
It's fine. I mean, like, there's my exhibition, which is open now, presently, at the Alliance Française Gallery. It's on my French is awful. It's, like, horrendous. But, yeah, it's on Spadina. I don't know the exact address, but if you Google the name, you will find it. And
Yes,
Google
I will put
lead
it in
you.
the link below in the description.
Awesome. We didn't talk about my little...
That's right.
My
This
magazine.
publication. Yes, thank you for reminding me.
My magazine, it's not mine.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, I made the whole
Did you
thing. No, I
publish
did
this?
not. I'm not
Yes.
taking claim to that.
The Filling Station, issue 76.
Yes.
You were publicated in here.
So, like I said, like, I'm so done with I Found a Place. It's everywhere right
That's
now.
why I didn't want to bring it up this time. Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I Found a Place. The writing in there is just, you know, from my... It's in the exhibition as well. It's what I'm speaking in the video. But I submitted. There was a call for submissions for like BIPOC artists, and I was like, all right, I'm BIPOC. I'll submit something.
Yes.
So I submitted some of my photographs, and the actual like written part of my speech within the video, and I got accepted. And it's like in the magazine, so everyone wants to buy the magazine.
Yeah.
You can't read it online. Buy it.
An actual print copy.
I think it's only $12. Like,
oh, dope.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. So yeah, you
Very
can
cool, very cool.
you can get it online. It's fun.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. It's fun stuff. Yeah, the writing's weird, but it's not. But
I like it.
It's weird, but I love it. It's weird. It's weird because everyone seems to like it.
I love it. I was reading it.
Is that plugging myself? Everyone
Yes.
likes my writing.
Go for it. Shamelessly. Go.
No, but like it's weird because people like it, and it's not because I don't expect people to like it, but it was just how it came to be. Like that writing was so. That is one thing I do like talking about. I Found a Place is that writing.
Okay.
It was such a weird way. I just knew that I had to have sound in this video that I made. And it was the last piece. It was, like, at the end. It was, like, just before it was due. I was, like, recording this, like, terrible recording. I've re-recorded it since. But, of, like, me speaking this thing that I wrote. But I just, like, woke up one morning and I was like, gotta figure out what the sound's gonna be. And then I just started writing it. And the writing is basically, like, I guess it would be considered maybe a poem, but I didn't follow any, like, I wouldn't consider myself a poet. Like, I don't really know the rules of poetry or
You
know
didn't
how to
do it in, like,
I don't know how to make a haiku or I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like I just remember
5
like
7 5.
I just remember poetry from like English class and like
It's
not
poetic writing.
Yeah,
it's like prose.
I remember there being so many rules, and I followed not a single rule. I was just like, this is what I think.
Love it.
But no, I was writing it, and I just decided to describe in a very vague way each object that I talked it, like in the video. So, you know, I just like pulled up I literally opened my photo, gallery on my phone.
Right.
Because I had images of each object. And then I just started going through it, and I was like, okay, this object. And I'm like, what can I say about this? And, you know, so then I just started describing them. So, like, some of them, you know, you can kind of understand. And then part of it was I started, like, I took from my research. So, like, there are times where I'm kind of almost, like, blatantly reading out these, I don't know, like, descriptions from online or something, like definitions. Yeah, I think I even used the word definition at one point.
Yeah.
You know, just like talking about, so partially it's like me talking about the research, and then the majority of it is me like describing
each
object. Like, I don't even know, like pull a sentence out. I have no idea.
The definition.
Like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. But it's interesting.
No, the one that jumps out to me is tie me a bow, make the bunny ears around the ghost into the rabbit hole. I love that line. Those 4 lines.
That's really funny. That one's funny. I can explain that one a little bit.
You don't have to.
I can. It's most of them I would keep obscure, but just for you, here a little treat.
Yeah.
I'll share that one. That one, because there was this little, like a little wooden box, and you can see it in the video, and inside, and in the video you see me do this, is inside I pull out these shoelaces that were in this box. I didn't even know when I took the box from my house that there were shoelaces inside. The shoelaces are also the colors of the Trinidadian flag, which is very, you know, just happened. Like, it wasn't even, like, I think there's, like, white, black, and red. I hope that's correct.
I think you're right. And green?
I don't know if there's green in the flag. Now I gotta look at it. I just feel like I'm misrepresenting Trinidad. Though I'm not the person to stand on and say, hey, I understand Trinidadian culture, because my project is literally that I don't. But in that, I'm pulling out these shoelaces, and so, you know, I'm talking about those. I'm talking about the shoelaces, and not the box, but the actual shoelaces inside, and that I pulled them out, and it's, you know, what do you do with shoelaces? Oh, you tie them. And then I was thinking about the different ways that you tie a shoelace. And I'm like, you know, you learn the ghost.
Yes.
The ghost, and then there's always the bunny ear one. Yeah. And then, you know, my bunny ears just led into a bunny jumping into a hole.
Rabbit hole.
Like a rabbit hole. Because,
right, the unknown.
But, like, in my head, it was like, yeah, exactly. It's like Alice in Wonderland, kind of like this going into the rabbit hole, like the unknown.
That's why I was like, you don't need to explain it. I'm with you.
You got it. Okay, great.
I don't know if other people would be, but I got it. I was like, oh yeah, that's why that line jumped out for me.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, I'm glad you plugged shamelessly that publication. Because
yes, plug that.
I think that's so cool that you were.
Yeah,
able
gotta
to be
represent the magazine too. You know.
Yes.
In it, and like people get
Filling Station
magazine.
Right. Yeah, and so many thoughts. I mean, as your friend and as a fellow artist, I'm just like so pleased to see you. You know,
I love having friends that are also fellow artists.
Right?
It's so nice.
I'm just so thrilled that you like have all of these expeditions and all of these projects are like coming to light. Even though they couldn't.
I mean, thanks for, like, being interested in my work and, like, asking me to come and talk with you.
You used to do films with me in, like, first year. Like, I've always been interested.
You were my, like, model.
When we recorded, like, in my, like,
oh my gosh, in your hallway.
Do you remember that film?
Yes, I do.
Soul Shaping is what it was called.
Was that for my project or was that for your project?
I think it was for you.
Because we did one for you and then we did one for me.
Yeah. And then
I think that one was for me.
Yes, that one was for, like, someone had a song.
Really shitty Steadicam. Yes. It just kept turning because it wasn't weighted properly. It was so I still can't.
That's
get it
right. That
properly.
was for the one that we did outside for my project, and it was like every time I would like finish, it would just like turn to the side,
and it was like and pen to the right. Like okay.
Oh, the early days.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I'm so happy that we could finally sit down and talk.
I know. I'm glad we did this. I was like low key like nervous about it because I'm like, well, I like initially when you asked asked me, because I was saying, like, you asked me like a year ago or whatever, and like my brain was not in the arts. It
Of
was
course
like,
not.
I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know
everywhere.
what I'm doing.
Same for me.
I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing, but I have a little bit more focus now.
Got you.
Yeah,
Got you.
so
This is the right time to do it.
this is a good time. My exhibition opens, so it's like a good time to be like, hey, come see my exhibition.
Yes, everyone listening, go see it.
Plug.
Yes.
I'm just gonna keep using that because I'm such
Right?
a loser and didn't know what that was.
No!
I was like, I minorly knew what it was, and then I was like, I don't know if this is right.
Plugging, man, you gotta do it.
Now
Even
I
if it's
understand.
like-
But I always think about those like rap songs where it's like, I got the plug, or you know what I mean?
I
was
guess
like,
that's what it's from. I don't know where I heard it.
I have no idea.
On that note, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is great.
Now we're gonna have some more alcohol.
More
and
alcohol.
Have a good night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'll
Alright.
try to hunt down some snacks too.
Ooh,
I don't know what I have.
hunt away. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Art Versations podcast. Please help the podcast community continue to grow by clicking subscribe or follow on your podcast platform and leave a review. As well, follow the podcast on Instagram at ArtVersationsPod. You'll find photos of the guest you just heard, plus highlights and quotes from each episode. Let's keep the Artversation going. Send in a DM with your thoughts about art and any questions you might have for guests. Special thank you goes out to Jen Marquez and Maxim Bartnowski for their contributions. And thank you, listener. Till next time.